What's going on, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Red Friday Live Chat. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Red Friday, all of you. We're at the halfway point of the season. 8 games in for the Chiefs. They'll play game number 9 this weekend. And yeah, this is where the second half of the season gets underway. So a lot of things to go over here. We'll talk some Chiefs football. Obviously, the final injury report came out. The Chiefs, their only player that's ruled out is Juju Smith-Schuster. Turk Wharton expected to play, to my understanding, but he is listed as questionable. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on game day. Whereas the Broncos, they don't have a lot of issues with their injuries right now. This might be the best defense and the healthiest team the Chiefs have faced all year. This has been an injury-riddled season for a lot of teams, not just Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City's had a lot of bad ones this year, but man, it's been rough for a lot of teams this season. But Kansas City, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries this season. Broncos, not so much. The only player they have out, or the only players they have out, Delarian Turner-Yell and Drew Sanders. I don't know why. It says he was a full participant every day, so I guess something happened today, or maybe at the end of practice where something happened. I don't know. But he's not going to be playing. Sanders not expected to play, and Luke Wattenberg, one of the offensive linemen, is questionable. So that's it. Not a whole lot on Denver's side of things. So we'll have to see what happens there. Yeah, there is a helicopter right above my house right now. I live right next to one of the airports, so this is actually very common. Just not too common during a Friday night, a Red Friday live chat, essentially. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the Facebook comments. It just says Facebook user. So I can't. Okay, let me pull up. Let's see if I can pull up the live stream on my phone and look at the comments through there, because I cannot see who's commenting. Yeah, everyone, according to the chat here, everyone is a Facebook user. Interesting. That definitely has to be a glitch of some kind here, because... Okay, see, now I see it. Jim is talking about Pacheco. Robert's asking about or talking about the test, and Roger says, "Hope Nagy." What if I put the no? See, do you guys see that? That's how it comes up. Yeah, it just says Facebook user, and that's how it is. So I'll just have to because I like to know who's asking the questions. It's a little weird when you don't know who it is. But anyway, let's get right into it. Chiefs, Broncos. By the way, whatever questions you guys have, comments, anything on your mind, please ask it below. Let me know what's on your mind, and let's chat it up here on the Red Friday Live Chat. That is what this is all about here. I want to get into the Matt Nagy rumors, because Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports put out there this morning in an article that Matt Nagy is expected to receive interest from teams for potential head coaching vacancies. And he speculated that there could be anywhere from 6 to 10 head coaching openings this season, or off season rather. We already have 2 right now, one from the Jets, one from the Saints, with Dennis Allen and Robert Saleh getting fired. I think the odd part is, it's like, wait a minute, Eric Bieniemy, that guy could not get hired. I mean, not to say Matt Nagy, he's already received a head coaching offer, but I think the logic as to why Matt Nagy could be getting head coaching consideration is because the Chiefs have dealt with all kinds of injuries at the wide receiver position and the running back position as well. And they're 8-0. Yeah, there probably would be a lot of reasons to want to hire Matt Nagy. And for people who want to say, well, he's not a play caller, so he can't really get serious consideration. Mike McDaniel was never a play caller for San Francisco. Kevin O'Connell was not a play caller. There was another head coach the same offseason as those 2 guys, if I recall correctly, who got hired and was not a play caller either. So you had some offensive coaches who were not play callers. This is really annoying. On my end, it just says Facebook user. It doesn't show a name. It just says Facebook user. I do not like that. I don't know if anyone's watching from YouTube, but I would love to know if anyone from YouTube can comment, just so I can see. Just so I can see if it shows up the same way. I'm sure it's a glitch on StreamYard's end, and they'll fix it, but would have been convenient to have before Friday night. Let me scroll back up here. Robert says a good test for our current offense. Yes, this is going to be by far the biggest test for the Chiefs. Again, this is the healthiest Broncos team, healthiest team you'll see all season, and maybe the best team. This is Denver, and I don't think a lot of people. By the way, who was it? It was Chris Harris, who I'm a big fan of. Went to KU. Super nice guy. Met him a couple of times. Interviewed him a couple of times. Really good guy. And a phenomenal player. Went from undrafted to being underrated to becoming the best cornerback at his position for a few years when he was playing. And he tweeted, or he went to a local radio station in Denver, and he said that Denver's rebuilding phase could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot that could even happen in 1 to 2 years. Predicting you could be at the bottom of a division and conference for 3 to 5 years. And look at Denver right now. I don't think anyone expected Denver, me included, that they would be in the playoff hunt. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone expected any team in the AFC West, not named the Chiefs, to be in the playoff hunt right now. A lot of people kept saying, oh, the Chiefs are skating by an easy division. Can't say that this year. I mean, they beat the Chargers, and sure, the Chargers were dealing with injuries on the defensive side, but so were the Chiefs. They were without Hollywood Brown and Isaiah Pacheco going into that game, and Rashee Rice got hurt in that game. Essentially, what was it? I think the Chiefs only ran 5 offensive plays on 2 drives, and he hardly played in that game. So the Chiefs were dealing with injuries also. Chargers weren't the only one with players absent in that game. I hope Nagy leaves. Yeah, I think a lot of it. I remember wanting teams to hire Bob Sutton. I remember that. Here's my thing. Do I think the aggressiveness has been less from Nagy? And I think that the other thing is Nagy, he's not as fiery of a coach as Bieniemy. I remember Tyreek Hill, his first offseason when he got traded to the Dolphins, his first year with the Dolphins, he started his own podcast, and he talked a lot about the Chiefs and what it was like playing for them that offseason, because there was not much to talk about with the Dolphins at the time for him. And he shared a story about how the Chiefs lost to the Bills on Sunday Night Football. Remember that one where there was a longer halftime period because of the rain delay, the weather delay? And Tyreek Hill mentioned all week during practice, Bieniemy just reminded of the players every single day how they allowed the Bills to just walk all over them Sunday night at home. I mean, that's the kind of coach Eric Bieniemy is. I remember when Eric Bieniemy replaced Doug Peterson, the Chiefs website mentioned 5 things to know about Eric Bieniemy, and that was that he was a passionate coach. It's like, well, what does that mean? Because that can mean a lot of different things. And somebody mentioned that the guy's a yeller. That's really what it means at the end of the day. It's like, okay, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, you know, you've heard things from LaShawn McCoy. Well, LaShawn McCoy has been really the only one that's had any issue with Eric Bieniemy. I know there have been rumors, like him and Patrick Mahomes have clashed on the sidelines a couple of times, but neither here nor there. Listen, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Nagy. I was excited for him to come back because what he did in Chicago, I don't care. Like, that was when he was a head coach. I want to know what you can do as an offensive coordinator, and what he's done as an OC in Kansas City those 2 years, pretty damn good. And the offense much better since he left, but just hasn't. I feel like Nagy's not enforcing things, or not maybe holding players as accountable as Bieniemy did. And I go back to that Tyreek Hill story that he shared on his podcast. Okay, so Chase is asking, let's say Nagy leaves, who gets a spot? It's a really good question. There are actually several candidates here. Let's go to former offensive coordinators for the Chiefs, because the Chiefs did bring Nagy back and eventually made him an OC again. One big candidate, obvious candidate, would be Eric Bieniemy. because if I'm not mistaken, UCLA is not doing too good. At least last I checked. I'm a casual college football follower, so forgive me if I have that wrong. But last I checked, UCLA, they're not doing too hot right now. So that's one possibility. The Jacksonville Jaguars are expected to be in the hunt for a new coach. So it's entirely possible they might let go of Doug Peterson. Yeah, so UCLA is 3-5 on the season. How's their offense? Their quarterback's not good. 10 touchdowns, 9 picks. Yeah. Okay, safe to say that's not good. So UCLA could even shake up their offense, their coaching staff at least. Doug Peterson could be another candidate to come back, someone who won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback in the postseason. And he also is pretty familiar with Carson Wentz. So God forbid if anything were to ever happen to Patrick Mahomes, and if Carson Wentz decides to stay in Kansas City, that's certainly something that could bode well for Kansas City. Now, here's one that is kind of an underrated idea, but might be what ends up happening. Could be Mike Kafka. Now, I don't know what the Giants are going to do with their staff. I know, so it shows the YouTube comment, the YouTube user, but it doesn't show any of the Facebook users. See, that's what I have. Facebook user. That's all I see on my end. I'm keeping an eye on my phone here, but I'm also talking at the same time, so it's hard to keep track of who's saying what. So I apologize. This is going to be a different Red Friday live chat. I know that's not what everyone wants, but unfortunately, that's technology for you. But anyway, Mike Kafka could actually be an interesting candidate to be the next offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. And the reason I say that is because the Giants, I know Dable won Coach of the Year a couple of years ago, but that was then. And right now, the Giants are a complete mess. And listen, I don't think it's Dable's fault entirely. I think a lot of times coaches and especially coordinators, I think coordinators get a lot of shit when things go wrong. And it's like, wait a minute, you got to understand, coordinators don't put together a roster. That's what general managers do. And some teams will allow head coaches to have a strong influence with that kind of thing. But in general, it's like, are any of the struggles going on with the Giants, is any of that Kafka's fault? Seriously. I mean, who can go be an offensive coordinator for the Giants and succeed? Go follow some Giants. Go watch some of the highlights. Even hopefully you'll see this in highlights when the Giants are playing. Their offensive line is terrible. They don't do anything to help Daniel Jones. If you watch Hard Knocks, the offseason version with the Giants, which actually was very interesting, I enjoyed that a lot. I can't remember who it was, the GM or the owner, who was like, yeah, our offensive line sucks. Even Patrick Mahomes would not do well with this offensive line. And he's right. Listen, we all saw Super Bowl 55 and what happened with Patrick Mahomes when all of the offensive linemen were injured and they went into that game with a junior varsity offensive line. Patrick was screwed in that one. And he was still making plays. He was making things happen to the best he could. But when you have to run around that much, it's just impossible to have to find a way to win. And unfortunately, you also had receivers dropping passes. But hey, the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls since then, looking to do it 3 times in a row. So it's not the worst. It's not the end of the world. But Kafka is a guy that, honestly, I could see Andy Reid giving a chance to if Nagy does move on. So that's kind of a wait and see situation right there. So we'll have to wait. Nagy to the Jets. Oh boy. Look, I understand that when teams fire a head coach, it's because they're in a really bad situation and they're a mess. But there are just certain jobs you need to get away from. Like, who would want to go to the Jets, knowing damn well that Aaron Rodgers is the part owner, part head coach, and part offensive coordinator of that organization? Like, I would stay far away from the Jets. Like, as good of a team as the Jets should be right now, I don't know any head coach that would want a part of a potential head coach that would want a part in that. I think a lot of people would like to stay away there. Can't wait. That would be awesome to have 3 running backs. Yeah, the Chiefs are running the ball a lot more this year, and obviously that was not the plan at all. I think the Chiefs have had to adjust on the fly with all of these injuries occurring. But with Isaiah Pacheco expected to come back, and I think there was another question about Isaiah Pacheco. He's expected to come back within the next couple of weeks. There was some speculation that after the Broncos game that they could open the 21-day practice window for Isaiah Pacheco at some point next week. It would not surprise me if it happens on a Friday. That way he could have his first practice. Well, no, actually, that's a bad idea. I think you got to do it on a Wednesday. That way you can go through that first week, just get your feet wet coming back to practice, let that second week go by and see how it goes, and they'll have to make a decision sometime right after that. So we'll see. Connor Ember. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know Connor Ember is not the most popular guy amongst the Chiefs. Oh, I see. This is creative. See, you're putting your name on here. Okay, Sean's letting us know who he is. But he did say any swirl on when we. Okay, I kind of answered the Pacheco part. Hollywood sounded like both were progressing last year. Yeah, that's what Andy Reid says when he gets asked about it. Honestly, I think Andy Reid gets annoyed when he gets asked about players who are injured and how they're doing. That's just my opinion. So I think he just says things just to give the media an answer. Pacheco is expected to come back. I already covered that. Hollywood might be end of the regular season, could be beginning of the postseason. Maybe he doesn't play at all. And I think we just got to accept the fact that all of those scenarios could be a possibility. Look, I've gone over this before. If you look at the NFLPA report card, the Chiefs training staff for the second year in a row they've received a failing grade. I remember when Patrick hurt his ankle a couple of years ago in the playoffs, the training staff, I mean, everyone gave the training. Who was it? Julie Freimeyer. She got her flowers from everyone. She was even featured heavily in the, well, maybe not heavily, but her name was brought up more than any other trainer in NFL history about what she did to help Patrick with his ankle recovery and getting him ready for the next game in the Super Bowl. So I don't know. But then I go back to like Rick Burkholder. Everyone has nothing but good things to say about him publicly. He's in like several like Missouri Sports Hall of Fames and all. But for whatever reason, he has a failing grade. And the Chiefs players that take those surveys, they don't have good things to say about Rick Burkholder. And I don't understand why. I mean, I think he and his staff deserve a lot of credit for helping BJ Thompson when he suffered a seizure. But, you know, overall, though, the Eric Berry situation, that was weird. He was day-to-day and ended up missing 15 weeks of action. That didn't make any sense at all. The McCole Hardman injury from a couple of years ago, before he went to the Jets, that whole process was weird. No one really knew what was going on there. And then the Hollywood Brown, we were told Hollywood Brown was going to come back. Either the Bengals game, the Falcons game, or the Chargers game. At the very least, had to be one of those games. And we learned the week of the Bengals game, he's not going to play. Yeah, my neighbor's mowing his lawn. Dude, my neighbor's a weird one. Can you guys hear that? Oh, turned it off. Yeah, I mean, I have headphones, so it's a little easier to hear those kinds of things. So I don't know how well you guys can hear, but my neighbor will like mow his lawn at like the weirdest times in the evening. I mean, obviously, like with daylight saving times and everything passing, like it's already dark outside. Why are you mowing your lawn at this time? I don't get it. I remember back when I was working my part-time job, I actually stayed home one day. I can't remember what the topic was about, but I remember there was like a really important podcast that had to be done because there was like breaking news, and I don't remember what it was about. So I'm like, whatever. It's a Friday morning. I'm home. Might as well do a podcast. And as soon as I want to start doing my podcast, like I'm recording and I got to do it quickly because I had things to attend to. My neighbor, the same neighbor, is mowing his damn lawn. It's like, really? At this time? Right when I want to do a podcast? What are you going to do? Yeah, Kafka. I don't know. I mean, Kafka's name could seriously be Could be a name that gets brought up a lot in the coming weeks. Jets and Rodgers are top. Yeah, I mean, who would want to go there? Like, that's a team that I had a lot of high hopes for last year, and it sucks because Rodgers got hurt on the fourth snap of the play, so we never got to see how that team would unfold. And then they fire Saleh and they change offensive coordinators. It's like, what is this team doing? I mean, they go and get Devontae Adams and they beat the Texans, which is great, but the Texans are kind of on a downward spiral right now because they're not able to overcome their injuries. Even with Pacheco coming back, I still hope the Chiefs feed Hunt a good amount. They will. I actually hope they feed Hunt a little less because Hunt has been, and again, I'm not saying Hunt is not capable of any of this. Listen, he hasn't been playing a lot of football the last few years. Like, he's not getting the same amount of production the last few years for whatever reason. But even when Nick Chubb was hurt, they weren't feeding the ball as much overall during his time in Cleveland. But it's just, he's been getting the ball 20 times each of the last 4 games, and the only time he didn't get 20 carries was his first game back with the Chiefs, and that was the Chargers game. It's like, man, he's playing good. The yard per carry average in a couple of games, not great. In fact, needs to be better, but overall, Hunt is playing good football. He's really provided the juice this offense needed. So when Pacheco comes back, I do hope they can kind of split it even. Because the last thing you want to do is have Kareem Hunt go through this burnout phase and then he gets hurt. You cannot afford any injuries right now. You really can't. That goes without saying. And I know the Chiefs have overcome a lot already, but boy, one more big one. I have some concerns. Did I see Charvarius Ward is stepping away from football? It's such a tragic situation. I did not see that he was stepping away, but I'll take your word for it. Listen, this is a very sensitive subject, so I just want to be sure this is accurate. Okay. I mean, it mentions that he's not with the team right now because of his daughter and all that. But dude, what a shitty situation, man. Like, I don't know. What do you say about that kind of thing? It's just terrible. I actually had a high school classmate. He posted on his social. It is someone who I've lost touch with over the years, but you're still friends on Facebook and whatnot, so you see each other's pictures and all. Their 1-month-old passed away, and I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, no one should ever have to experience that ever. Listen, I'm no parent, but I know how my parents would react in that kind of situation, and you never want to see that for anyone. Like Charvarius Ward made that comment about Kansas City and how he likes San Francisco better, but that's football, man. Like, it's not serious at the end of the day. That's just tragic. Yeah. Hopefully he can take some time off and heal, because right now football does not matter. At the same time, football could be his escape from all of that. You never know. I'll never forget, and I know Brett Favre, what he's going through right now. A lot of people not happy with what he did with Mississippi, but his career, I mean, the guy had a decorated career. But forget about his Super Bowls and all the records he broke. The one thing I'll always remember about Brett Favre, the game he had on Monday Night Football against the Raiders, the same week of his father's passing. I think it was maybe even the day before, shortly before. That was one hell of a performance, and I'll never forget his wife was there on the sidelines. And I think Favre went through something similar where his wife was going through some serious health issues also, and he still chose to play. I mean, listen, when you're a football player, you're not working a normal 9-to-5 job. You can go to football meetings, practice. You're not working as many hours as someone who's working on a cubicle all day. I love how some of you guys are putting your names in the comments so I know who's who. I appreciate that. I'm just not going to put the comments on the screen. This is weird. This just has me all confused. Some of us have daylight here, but I'm in Mountain Standard Time. Yeah, I've never been to Mountain Standard Time before. I live in Central Time Zone, been to the East Coast a few times, been to the West Coast a few times. I've never been to Mountain Standard Time, not even for a connecting flight or anything. I've always wondered I've never cared about the mountains or any of that in the past, but now I've learned to have an appreciation for the outdoors, especially mountainous areas. I gotta visit a place like Denver one day. By the way, I love this. I just got this comment on YouTube on one of my videos. The Chiefs have the easiest schedule imaginable. Really? Because I'm pretty sure they have the fifth hold on, let's look this up here because I'm not going to stand for this. What the strength of schedule? Chiefs are at 472, and their strength of victory obviously the same because they're undefeated is 472. No one has a higher strength of victory except for Cleveland of all teams, even though they're 2-7. Cleveland's strength of victory is just slightly above Kansas City's at 474. The Raiders also have a strength of victory of 474. Imagine that. On the NFC side, the Lions are at 508. Cardinals 475. Vikings 472. Rams 471. So when you look at the AFC side, I mean, the Chiefs have the best strength of victory of any team in the playoffs. Oh, I missed Baltimore. Baltimore's at 531. So there's that. But 472, I mean, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. And people want to say the Chiefs have an easy schedule. Come on. Let's slow it down a little bit here. I mean, every team that's in the playoff picture right now, the Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos, those are all on Kansas City's schedule. The Chiefs already played the Chargers. We'll play them again. They already beat the Ravens. They play the Broncos this week. They'll play the Texans and the Steelers in December. They'll play the Bills later this month. Yeah. Chiefs have an easy schedule. Okay. By the way, look at the Bills. They're 7-2 right now, but who have they defeated? Who have they defeated with a winning record? They beat the Cardinals, which, at the time they were 0-0. I get the Cardinals are just above 500 right now. They beat the Dolphins twice this year. Not really impressive. Everyone's beating the Dolphins with or without Tua. Beat Seattle. Not really something to write home about. They beat the Titans. They beat the Jets. They beat the Jaguars. Those are not good teams. Look who they've lost to. They lost to Baltimore. That was not even close. They lost to the Texans. That was much closer contest. So, and at the time, the Texans were a serious contender. Now they're kind of slipping because of their injuries. So I don't really know. People make such a big deal every year about Kansas City's schedule, and they're playing a first place team every year. So I don't know, man. I think barking up the wrong tree. Adding Hopkins to help with red zone efficiency is going to be huge in the playoffs. Dude, the Chiefs' red zone offense has improved a lot already. I'm talking a lot in a 3-game stretch. The Chiefs were the third worst red zone offense coming off the bye week, and now they're ranked 12th in that category. You went from 30th to 12th. That's good. That's good. Because I think they were 30th going into the bye week, and then during the bye week, someone slipped, so they ended up being 29th. So third worst, fourth worst, whatever. Chiefs have gone up in that area. They have the best third down offense in the NFL. They went from 9th since the bye week to 1st. The Chiefs offense is playing much better. Any narrative out there that the defense is carrying the offense, nah, that narrative does not exist. At least not from people that actually watch the games. The running back rotation is going to be sick with all the talent in that room, and Pacheco coming back. There's no way we should ever be overfeeding anyone. I'm with you as far as about a balanced attack. Yeah, especially in November, you should never overfeed anyone. And look, I think Kareem Hunt is one of the very few down-for-down running backs in the NFL, but you just don't see many of those anymore. And when you have two running backs like Pacheco and Hunt available, and by the way, I don't know if this is a one-game thing or if that maybe it's just the way things panned out on Monday Night Football. but Samaje Perine got far more involved in that game than he did any other game. I think he was involved more in the Chargers game. But outside of that, have we really seen Samaje Perine get involved often with the Chiefs offense? I don't think we have. So I think even for now, before Pacheco's return, we could see Samaje Perine get more involved with the Chiefs rushing attack. So hopefully they continue to let Kareem Hunt take a little bit of a backseat, because you're going to need him for the playoffs. You're definitely going to need him. And listen, I don't know when the Chiefs' first loss is going to come. Would not surprise me if it happens within the next 2 games. I mean, Denver is a contender. They really are. I think a lot of people are underrating Denver, even though they're in the playoff picture right now. Buffalo, listen, before the season, I picked the Chiefs to lose to Buffalo. Even recently, I'm still kind of leaning towards that, but I also just got to look at Buffalo and realize they haven't beaten anyone with a winning record. So what kind of a threat is Buffalo if they're not beating anyone? Because, again, we already went through their schedule. Who do they play this weekend? They play the Colts. Okay. Colts are like a 500 bubble team right now. So Buffalo can probably beat them too. But what happens when they face the best team in the NFL next week? And then they face the Lions later this year as well on the road. I'm really curious how they do it. I mean, look at the way their season ends. In the month of December alone, they play the 49ers, who have been up and down. They play the Rams, another team kind of up and down. Then they play the Lions. After the Lions, they have Patriots, Jets, and then at the Patriots. Unless the Jets turn into a completely different football team, you could not ask for an easier set of games to end the season for the final 3 weeks. I mean, Buffalo's got a very good chance to get the 2 or 3 seed. Yeah, Colorado. I've heard a lot of great things about Colorado. That's always been on my list. I know the Hunt family. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they live in Texas, but they seem to, listen, they're rich, so they probably have homes in a lot of places. They seem to spend a lot of time in the state of Colorado, and some of the pictures they posted online, really, really nice. Another place I've always wanted to go is Canada. Like areas, I definitely would love to see Toronto and Vancouver, but I've also seen places like Lake Louise. I've heard is really, really nice. I've seen a lot of people on my social media, like people who I know and follow. It just seems like people I know go to Lake Louise. I don't know why, but maybe that's a message that I need to go there one day. What the person is mentioning is the strength of schedule at the start of the season was quite high. Cherry picking because teams may not be doing as well as of now. Listen, we went over this earlier this week. This whole notion of, the Chiefs are not blowing teams out. Okay. Listen, style points are nice. I get as fans, we have an invisible category for style wins and embarrassing losses and all those things. But at the end of the day, the only actual wins and losses you have are the wins and losses that you see on the standings. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. The Chiefs have won 14 straight games. That's the 8th best winning streak in NFL history. And this is obviously dating back to last year, including the playoffs. And by the way, assuming the Chiefs have the number 1 seed and they end up three-peating, they're going to tie the NFL record for most postseason wins in NFL history. The Patriots have won 10 consecutive postseason games. The Chiefs could tie that at the end of the year. The chemistry between Hopkins and Mahomes is crazy. Just from watching, you think they've been playing together for years. That's what I said recently. If you watch that Bucs game, and I've watched it a couple of times now, Mahomes and Hopkins, they look like they've been playing together for 10 years. And I understand Tampa Bay's defense is not as good, and you're going to have a much bigger test this week. Travis Kelce is playing better. Hopkins, obviously a future Hall of Famer. Kareem Hunt, a great player. So you've got a chance to really prove a lot of people wrong against a Denver team. And I get they have a rookie quarterback, but that is a Denver defense that's very good. That's very good. This is the best defense you'll probably face all year. You'll face them again later on this season, assuming, you don't rest the starters, which I think is a big if, because I think Kansas City will have the 1 seed locked up going into that week. So hopefully not a lot of Chiefs fans plan to make that trip, because, listen, with all due respect to Carson Wentz and all the other backups, you don't ever want to pay money to attend a game to watch backups, especially if you're going on the road. Me personally, I would never attend a Week 18 game ever, because you just don't know what you could really be spending money on when especially as a Chiefs fan, there's a strong possibility you might be seeing a lot of backups. I think in the Andy Reid era, how many times have we seen the backups play? 2013 was one of them. 2017, that's when Patrick Mahomes made his NFL debut. I think in 2020 they let the backups play. 2021 did the backups play? I know last year the backups played. I mean, the Chiefs didn't have the 1 seed, but they had the 3 seed and could not improve or go down. So we've seen the backups at least 4 or 5 times since Andy Reid's been here in 2013. I mean, look at the Chargers. They could not go up or down in the standings last year, but didn't Staley or whoever was the head coach? Was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. Like, they just lost players for an irrelevant game. Andy Reid knows what the hell he's doing. Would love to visit Winnipeg. Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about Winnipeg. I've heard Newfoundland, like, small area, but I heard the scenery there is beautiful. So would love to check that out sometime. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here because, again, I'm just annoyed with the glitch. Listen, maybe it's on my end. I don't know. I might have to do a reboot of some sort, but covered a lot of good ground here. Before we go, the referee complaints. Let me get into that quickly. Let me just first off say right off the bat, 2 quick things. Number 1, bad officiating. Every team's been dealing with that all year long. Every team. I don't care how good you are or how terrible you are. Every team's dealt with bad calls, missed calls, whatever. And every team, they get favorable calls from time to time. Football games do not come down to a bad call at the end of a game. They don't. They just don't. What happened last night? I mean, the Bills, they went full Chiefsaholic and they committed all kinds of robberies during that 2-point conversion, and the referees did not give a shit. They did not care at all. They did not care at all. But that's not why the Bengals lost that game. The Bengals lost that game because their running back fumbled when they were up by 14, and they blew a 14-point lead on the road, which, listen, on the road at home, you can never blow a 14-point lead, especially in the second half, and the Bengals did that. The Bengals defense was playing great. I could not recognize the Bengals defense in the first half. I'm like, this is a damn good defense. They play like this all the rest of the year. They might actually win the Super Bowl like this. But the real Bengals defense, they stood up and they looked terrible the rest of the way. And they got lazy with tackling, playing defense. I mean, all kinds of things. Doesn't help that Cam Taylor Britt also dropped an interception he should have had on Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I just told you guys right now, there are a couple other factors as well. Foregoing a couple field goals on 4th down and taking deep shots on 4th and short multiple times. Yeah, there are a lot of factors that go into wins and losses. And people just want to point to one thing, and it's a missed call or a bad call. Calm down, people. So I want to put that there. Now, I think as fans, we can all agree officiating's bad. And listen, the referees, they're human too, so they'll make mistakes. They're on the field the entire time. I mean, when Burrow throws a pick or a touchdown, or when Lamar Jackson commits a turnover or scores, they go sit down on the sidelines, on the bench. The referees don't go to no sidelines. They're on the field the entire time. It's not you're on your feet the entire time. Well, I've had a couple knee surgeries, and the thought of that, I don't even want to ponder. So they're on the field a lot. I can get it's a grueling job, but that is also what they sign up for. Now, again, with that said, it's a very difficult job. There are easy fixes, though. We have replay assist. Why is it that replay assist can contribute for certain things, but they're limited as to what they can actually assist with? I don't understand the logic. That doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense at all. And then challenging plays. Listen, there's no reason why you cannot challenge certain things. I think everything within the rules of, if you get one challenge correct, you get an extra one. So you could get 2, potentially 3 for a game. You should be allowed to challenge anything and everything. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are going to say. Holding happens on every play. That is true. So with your red flags, you got to pick and choose when you want to throw those flags. And I've proposed this idea in the past, and people have said, oh, Farzine, if you do that, games are going to take longer. Well, at this point, it's either games take longer or we get more bitching and moaning about officiating. You can't have, you got to pick one here. You want to bitch and moan more, or you want games to last a little long? Listen, last I checked, I don't think anyone gave a damn if games lasted longer. I would not complain, if I'm being honest. Would not mind one bit. But I just feel like it's an easy fix. Listen, with all the technology, with video cameras, and we have cameras on the pylons now. So you should be able to have these adjustments within the rules here. But here's the thing. Roger Goodell does not want to do that. Why does Roger Goodell not want to do that? Because he loves the drama that comes with it. Look, it's Friday today, right? We're coming off Thursday Night Football. What do people on ESPN, Fox Sports Radio, all the radio stations nationally and locally, what do they do on a Friday morning? They probably talk a little bit about Thursday Night Football, but then they got to switch gears because all of these guys, they're off for the weekend. So they want to talk about their NFL predictions and also college football preview that weekend. But instead, what are people talking about today all day? Everyone's talking about the controversy from the 2-point conversion last night. For Roger Goodell, that's a damn good thing. Because guess what, college football? Screw you guys. We're gonna be the ones that get talked about more than you guys. Even though there's some important college football games this week. Every week seems like there are key college football games. That's not the case with the national media today. Everyone's talking about the NFL on a Friday. I mean, disagree with that all you want, but Roger Goodell loves that. Roger Goodell, who requires everyone to talk weekly, but he gets to pick and choose when he talks to the media, which is interesting. In his press conference last year, and listen, I said this very clearly last year, I thought the Chiefs were whining too much about the whole Kadarius Toney thing. That was the right call. Now, I do agree 2 plays later, Von Miller is clearly offsides, and they don't call that, but that's the way bad officiating works. It's been that way for a long time. But Roger Goodell, he was doing his press conference, and he said, I think this is the best officiating has been all year. It's like, wait a minute. You have a lot of people complaining about officials helping the Chiefs, and you just told the world that officiating's been the best it's ever been. So for anyone that wants to complain to a Chiefs fan, you're complaining to the wrong person. You got to complain to Roger Goodell. And listen, I'm not going to post it because this is not my thing to do. But if you actually use this website called Google, you can actually find the contact info for the NFL's league office. It's out there. I'm not going to say what it is. I'll let you guys look it up. But they do have their address, their mailing address. You can write a letter. They have a phone number. You can call them. They've got an email address. I don't know why it's public, but it is. So you need to direct your anger and attention towards them. But I just think it's interesting because the media, and listen, in my opinion, I think journalists are super soft. I think they are incredibly soft. And they don't ask Roger Goodell the tough questions because they're afraid. They're afraid of getting their credentials yanked and they'll never be able to cover the NFL again. Unfortunately, that's the thing. Me personally, listen, when I worked in the media, I was never afraid to ask certain questions. Now, you can ask tough questions and not be an asshole. I've been in media rooms before where there are people who are ready to ask really tough questions, and they're kind of smiling internally, and they know that they're going to get a big reaction, or at least they hope. It's like, okay, you're just being an asshole. Like, there's a difference between asking a legitimate question and then just being a straight up asshole. Go watch my my interviews with Brody Crowell and Damon Heward. I asked them some tough questions, and I did it in a way where, you know, you can be civil and be human and understand the fact that you're talking to another human. Because those conversations with Damon and Brody were not easy. And I'm sure, as happy as those guys are with their lives now, no one wants to have to revisit and recall those kinds of things, but they were willing to, and I appreciated that from them. My whole point is, it's like, people are way too afraid to ask Roger Goodell the tough questions. And I think a guy who's the commissioner should be very welcoming of what does Roger Goodell make? Like $40 million a year, 50 million, even more than that. The guy should not limit the media on what they can ask and how often. Like, you got to be willing to answer the tough questions. But he's not willing to talk to the media as much as the players and the coaches are required. So, and I've called this out for a long time. You guys tell me why that's not working. So, look, Roger Goodell is not stupid. It's a very easy fix. Very easy fix. You guys, we're in the year 2024, almost 2025. Even this phone right here can capture things real well, almost as well as the video cameras you see during games. But at the end of the day, the NFL does not want that fix because they love the drama that comes with the controversy, and it gets the national media talking more about them and less about college football, the NBA, whatever else is going on in sports. I mean, let's be honest. When the World Series was going on, and a great World Series from the Dodgers, what were people talking about mostly, even the week the Dodgers won the World Series? Were they talking about the NFL or were they talking about the World Series? They were talking about the NFL. There's a reason why we see doubleheaders at weird times. The NFL, as dumb as it looks, the NFL does a good job strategically planning that out. There's a reason why you have Thursday night football, and they've even had a few Friday night footballs. We're going to have Wednesday night games. I mean, the NFL is going to compete against the NBA on Christmas. When it comes to sports on Christmas, everyone thinks about the NBA. Well, not anymore. The NFL is going to have something to do about it. Even if it's on a random Wednesday, the NFL is going to get involved with it because they want to be the show every day of the week. It would not surprise me. Listen, I know we got Thursday night football and Monday night football, aside from Sunday games. When college football takes a backseat, when the regular season's over, we see a lot of Saturday games. It would not surprise me if the NFL seriously considers Friday night football. They tried it earlier this season with Packers Eagles in week 1. Was actually a fun game to watch, but man, this is a league that I think they're going to do whatever they can to get as much attention as they can for every single day of the week. Obviously, you got to reserve Tuesday and Wednesday for certain things, but Thursday night football, Friday night football, Saturday, you can kind of chill out with the NFL and go watch your college football teams and watch some of the other college football action. And then Sunday, it's game day. I know I went into so many rabbit holes there. My point is this. The NFL loves the controversy that comes with it. They're not fixing that shit because they know if they fix it, there's going to be less to talk about with the NFL, and a lot of the attention can kind of go from the NFL to college football or whatever else is going on. So there's that. I want Friday night football, then I can watch it on Saturday morning down here. Oh, well, there you go. There you go, Richard. That's one way of looking at it. I mean, listen, I'm at that point in my life where Friday night, I used to be that guy in college that thought if you stayed in on a Friday night, you're just a loser and you don't have a social life. Not anymore, man. Listen, I get it. Some of you guys are older than me. Some of you guys are younger than me. For all of you guys who are younger, trust me when I say this, you might not think of it now, but you will gladly appreciate nights in on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I mean, listen, I still go out on Friday, Saturday nights, but not as much as I did during my college days. But once you hit your 30s and 40s, you appreciate those nights in a lot more than you did in your 20s. I'll leave on that note. All right. I'm out of here, guys. Appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the Red Friday live chat. Reminder, we will have our pregame live chat 8:30 Sunday morning Central Time. Obviously, much earlier because the Chiefs play a noon kickoff game, the first 12 p.m. kickoff game of the season. Until we haven't had one, and we have to wait until November to get one. I remember when that used to be the norm in Kansas City. Yeah. The things have changed over the years. So, yeah, one of the very, very few noon kickoff games this season. Come back, join us at halftime for the halftime live stream during the game. And then after the game, we will do the Chiefs Zone podcast. We will recap the game. Video calls, of course, will be available. I'll have the link for you guys to call in, and we will chat it up, all of that good stuff. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you guys again for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Red Friday. I am out. Take care.